that's why I'm trying to figure out what's next for real. Like I talked to the building about like me like talking to the kids, like interviewing the kids, you know what I'm saying? So they could feel like, you know, somebody really out there listening. So I don't know. I discussed that with them. They don't really seem the higher ups don't like why would you want to do something like that? Like
they, you know, it's crazy. If you was to take that idea, excuse me, to the headquarters in Detroit,
yeah,
they wouldn't have not a problem with that shit.
right.
I think it's just, I just think it's the plants that's closer to us, BV and Vassar. They always had like some weird little issues with stuff like that here and there, where they feel like people was trying to not really exploit the kids.
Yeah.
But I just think they have a fear of showing what it's actually like there for them.
Right.
Because they know in the back of their mind, it's not how it should be.
They feel like the kids gonna say this. Yeah.
And I think that's really all it is. They just don't want to be found out, especially with all the shit that's going on too.
Yeah. I probably would have to talk to certain ones. I mean, I want to talk to like the ones that I'm in the units with for real. Mm-hmm. But they been having me like bounce around and everything, so I kind of get to know everybody. But yeah, that's something I've been thinking about doing for a while. I just don't want no BS behind it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I feel like everything good, especially when it comes to doing stuff for, you know, just helping people in the community, you know, letting people have a voice. I feel like that always comes with some bullshit.
Yeah.
In real life, I don't think with the stuff that we like to talk about is ever gonna be easy. But yeah. I mean,
because I feel like we kind of came up a different way, a different time. Stuff was evolving and everything. Like, I don't know. As I got older, I'm starting to see like why our people talk about stuff that went on back in the day, and yeah, like I'm starting to understand that now. Because at first I didn't really care about it. But.
Man, I used to get them stories 24/7, especially from my grandparents because they from Mississippi. Mm-hmm. They a lot older. My grandma, well, she passed in 2015, but she was born in 1935. So you know that's
right. Yeah.
Way.
Yeah.
That's a totally different vibe, especially not growing up here in Michigan. I mean, growing up as a black person in northern states might have been a little bit easier, but for them growing up in Mississippi, I used to hear them stories 24/7 of having to walk to school. You know, the levels of racism was just through the roof. Ridiculous. Right. But I think once, just from like talking to elders and then having them conversations, well, you know, these times and that times is good. And then at the same time, I find myself doing the same thing with younger people, and especially with the kids. Well, back in my day, and then it's like, I'm not even that damn old.
Right. Just the times we in, it kind of make us feel like, you know, kind of old, you know what I'm saying?
I definitely feel old, especially with them getting ready to go to school. Yeah.
Ready to get this stuff started?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you can start by introducing yourself.
Let me put this away. I'm being rude. Okay. So, I I go by ZHANÉ. My real name is Angie. ZHANÉ Parker. Artist, singer, songwriter, visual artist, graphic designer, head of a clothing line, whatever. I mean, pretty much everything. Jane of all trades. That's what I do.
Yeah, that's what's up, man.
Yeah.
I'm John. This is the very first episode of the Papa John podcast. The name might change sooner or later because I don't know if the pizza place or anything coming after me or something.
I mean, fuck Papa John's. The pizza place.
Right.
I think you should keep it. I think it's dope. Because, I mean, you never know. You keep going for a while, they might sponsor your ass.
Yeah, I was thinking about that shit the other day.
You never know what happened. But I fuck with the name for sure.
Alright, so, yeah, just tell me about how this music stuff started. Like, when did you just decide, like, I want to do music?
I always kind of knew that I would be involved in music. Even as a kid, my whole family is church oriented as well as music oriented. So I've been, singing since like 4. But as far as just like taking my rap serious, I think I really knew I wanted to rap probably like 5th, 6th grade.
Okay.
Yeah. Somewhere along that time. I was going through a lot as a kid, and that was kind of like my escape because I was the youngest. My brother and sister, they're a lot older than me, so they surprisingly got a lot more of the attention than I did.
Right.
Because I'm, whatever. I was a chill kid, so I guess it wasn't. I don't think they looked at it like, oh well, she a little different. They probably just didn't realize at the time. But during those times, that was easy for me writing and just, kind of finding myself in what I wanted to talk about. But I knew I wanted to do it rapping because I knew just me talking like how I'm talking to you, it wasn't successful because I don't like really talking in front of people. So, yeah, it's always been on the back of my mind.
Right. So what was the name of your very first song? Like, do you have like a lot of unreleased? Or
let me think. I have. I probably got 300 songs unreleased, and that's just stuff that I'm getting up writing every day. Okay, I'm gonna go to YouTube. I'm gonna find me a beat. So I got a lot of unreleased things, but as far as like my very first song that I put out was I did a song with Haley when everybody was doing the what song is that? Chirac, the freestyles.
Right.
Me and Haley. No, that wasn't the first song I put out. Now that I think about it, that was like a year later. First song I put out was with Reggie. I did a song called "Do What I Do," and this is when TMG had first started, when Reg first started TMG. We was just coming to the studio, just like, yeah, let's link, let's do something. We was sending freestyles to each other on Kick.
Right.
So this was a long time ago. But yeah, Reg did my very first song with me, and that's probably still one of my favorite songs. Like, forever, the vibes, just the wordplay from both ends.
Right.
Yeah. So
you ever thought about releasing it to the world, or is that just something that you keep?
It's on SoundCloud because that's what I was releasing all of my music to when I first started, because we didn't really know the ways of getting your stuff to streaming sites. Streaming sites wasn't that big when we first started doing music like that. Like, yeah, it was big, social media wise. But as far as Apple Music, I mean, the only thing that people really used like that back then was Pandora.
Right.
So I put a lot of stuff on SoundCloud, but I've been thinking about redoing a lot of songs, like just to, master them, because I know we was just recording and doing stuff, so a lot of that stuff sound raw, and that's probably the reason I haven't put a lot of things on streaming sites. But yeah, I've been thinking about that. It's crazy you asked for like the past month, putting all my old stuff out there, because a lot of people, when you gonna put this on Apple? Put this on Apple Music. Put this on Spotify. So I'm like, okay. Then I go back and listen to it like, hell no, I'm not putting this out, because this needs some work done. But
yeah, I noticed a lot of the artists that we came up on, they doing that. They re-putting out their old stuff, and it kind of brings back like where we was at that time.
Yeah, and that's really where I've been at with it. Especially when after Nicki dropped the "Beat Me Up, Scotty" on Apple, I was like, that took me back. I felt like I was like young as hell.
When at like 9th grade,
that was like 8th, 9th grade. Yeah, I'm like, damn. This where I was at when I listened to this. I'm like, I didn't even realize, at the time that we this young for real. At that time, you think you grown as shit.
Right.
Hell no.
And then you get grown and then be like,
yeah. Nah. And then you listen to something that bring back a memory. It's like, damn, I'm old as hell.
Right. Yeah, that's how I am when I listen to when I see like a lot of like I said, the artists that we grew up on. Like a lot of them look different. A lot of their music is different, but then when we go back, it's like, man, this is what we really just came up on. And now they in different, they tapped into different things.
I think all the stuff that we grew up on is starting to come back to. Everything always come full circle, especially in fashion and music. But this right now is probably where I feel like this new age of music, especially with the kind of music that I do, and then having like the J. Cole's, just the whole Dreamville roster, people like them, and then having, R&B like her and Kehlani, bringing all of that stuff back, to me is feel like we rebirthing the late 80s and the whole 90s era. And I feel like that's gonna be dope for us to be that generation to rekindle that.
Yeah.
Because I think we fell off a little bit.
Yeah, we kind of let the early 2000s, late 2000s baby kind of take over.
Yeah, I think once we hit, I can't even lie, I think once we hit that Soulja Boy era, so I won't even say Soulja Boy era, a little bit after, it's still his era, but I'll say maybe like 2007, 2008, once we hit that point where everybody was like doing like pop music. Everybody in like 2008 had a hand in pop music, no matter what genre they did.
Trying to think of who.
Like Kanye did the Heartbreaking 808s, then Nicki Minaj did Check It Out with will.i.am, and that whole vibe 2008, I think that switched up a lot of shit for people. And then that's when the Carter 3 had came out.
Right.
So, with him mixing, rock and stuff in there, here and there, and then just that whole album, I think changed rap, and then the pop, people collabing just changed music for a long time. But now I think we kind of finally hitting that curve, because I think we just been stagnant for a minute where it's like, ooh, I like this, and it's just, it flatlined for a second. And now I think we getting ready to go back up.
Right. Yeah. I think we finally starting to find a new genre down there. Like it's like a new genre.
Everybody finding they themselves in their own sound. Yeah. It's dope as hell. For sure.
And that brings me like when we was talking about how we was just talking about bringing like the 80s and the 90s. I noticed that in some of your music. Yeah. A lot of your music.
I always try to keep the old school, because it's who I am. That's what I grew up on. And I just don't feel like personally that it would be right for me to try to do music and not include that.
Right.
Because I'm like, that's
that's what inspired.
That's what inspired me to do music. Heavy D, Queen Latifah, and Moni Love, and then MC Light, but then going to Mary J. Blige and Faith Evans, and, you know, just the whole black group of people in the 90s that did any type of music, no matter if you was a one-hit wonder or if you still selling millions to this day. Everybody that had a hand in the late 80s, early 90s, even back to the 60s and 70s. From the 60s all the way to the 90s, early 2000s, that is some of the most legendary music that'll never go out of style to me. Right. So I always wanted to make that a part. That's why now the stuff I've been putting out, you hear a lot of jazz. Yeah. You'll hear a lot of different samples. People do a lot of sampling, but I tend to sample a lot of 70s, you know, music, the backyard party vibes, you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's definitely a vibe, especially listening to that Leftovers.
Yeah, man.
Leftovers, man. I've been listening. I listened to that for like 3 days straight down there for real.
Man, I appreciate the playlist.
Yeah, like it's one of them projects where like it kind of put me in the mindset of how Good Kid, Mad City kind of was. Yeah. Like where, you know, he told his story, but it almost seemed like he was telling our story too.
Yeah. Yep.
So that's how I kind of took took Leftovers. And I had a couple of tracks on there that I like, but the interlude, Trey's interlude,
yeah,
that one was different. It kind of woke me up
when he sent me that. It's crazy to say it. I've been rapping for a long time. And this is probably the first time I've probably ever said this to anybody. I don't even think I really told... Well, I've told Cass this. But when he sent me that really made me feel like, damn, like this is really...
ahead of his time.
It's ahead of his time. Like... crazy for sure, but then it also made me feel like this is really what I'm supposed to do, because these are the interludes, you know, things that people would say on tracks and albums that you would hear, you know, these mainstream type of interludes, things, yeah. You know, yeah, because, you know, certain people have their little interludes here and there and they just say little whatevers, but with the music that I listen to, people who, you know, add interludes to their projects, it's always something meaningful to catch you, and it gave me chills, and it was like, you know, with Trey being a goofy person I got you. That he was, so. I didn't expect that, but I realized how much he took me seriously, and how much he took my music seriously, and how much I really cared for it. Right. Because all I did, I sent him the song Black, and I'm like, I just need you to do. You can just talk. I don't care how long it is, because I'll just piece it, you know, whatever. Right. And I just want you to talk about whatever come to your mind after listening to this song. And then just send it to me, because I'm putting it on the album. He was like, all right, bet. He sent me that shit like maybe a day or 2 days later. And I was just blew away. Yeah. Because I've heard Trey speak. I've known this man my entire life, but... I don't know. It was just how he spoke at that moment. Just
you could feel it.
Yeah,
you could feel it. Like
it was a hell of a lot deeper.
Yeah.
Excuse me. It was a hell of a lot deeper, and I just was like, yeah, it's time to get the album out now. Yeah. Because I was so ready for everybody else to hear that, because I was just praying that everybody had the same reaction that I had. Yeah. Because I'm like, what the fuck? Then for that to go into Black, and that to me is probably the most important song on that project, just because I feel like everybody, you know, has their songs about standing up for Black people and, you know, wanting justice and, you know, talking about what we really need for Black people in the community, but you don't hear that shit here.
Yeah. Especially in this city, you know what I'm saying?
So I'm like, this is mad important. And with me trying to go far, this with leaving that behind, with Trey leaving that behind, and then that going into that song, that's gonna forever to me be like legendary.
Hell yeah!
And then once I get up there and I start doing, you know, more podcast interviews and more just regular interviews, I'll be able to, you know, talk about. I'll be able to play that.
Right.
When I, you know, whenever I can put shit to words, that'll always resonate.
And see, when I first heard it, you know, I seen that it said Trey's interlude, but I didn't, you know, I haven't seen Trey since 9th grade when I went to the Hill.
Yeah.
So like his voice was a little bit more
deeper,
like, yeah. So I'm like, okay, let me listen to this again. And then I started piecing it together and everything started coming back to me. And I'm like, man, it's Trey. And he really, like, it was like he kind of spoke to me, you know what I'm saying?
It showed me how much he grew as a man.
Yeah.
Especially from just him being, Trey was always that goofy dude. So just for him to speak seriously, especially on something like that, I was just like, yeah.
And then at the end,
crazy.
y'all not ready. You know what I'm saying? That was what really just had me like, yeah, like, 'cause I'm a victim to some of this stuff. Like, I've made fun of people, you know what I'm saying, that I, you know, and I'm not proud of that shit. Yeah. But like when I heard that, I'm like, that made me like
it make you think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was probably like one of the most impact. It just, even though it wasn't a song, it was one of the most impactful pieces of that project. And then you had the intro when you was talking to your boy.
Yeah.
And had the song playing. I forgot what the song was called.
You know what's crazy?
J. Cole and
I was so fried that I didn't even realize what song was playing in the background until I actually listened to the album in its entirety when it was time to drop it. And I still don't know what song that was because my brother had his playlist going. I know it's J. Cole, but I can't piece the name to it for nothing.
Let me check that. It's at the tip. It's like at the tip of my tongue. I listen to it too though. Like that also, because you know when I listen to projects, I'll listen to it, like no skips. Just see what songs I like, don't like. Then I go listen to the songs that I don't like, and then I listen to it again.
Yeah.
You know, and just go from there. And it kind of felt like that particular song like matched the whole vibe.
And
so
then
like
for it to be in the intro and the outro.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So that was smooth how you played that out.
Thank you. And you know what's crazy? That the intro and the outro is one whole voice message. I just pressed record on my phone.
Yeah.
And I just had to figure out where I wanted to piece it. I think together, the intro and the outro, and then the pieces that I didn't post, I think together I was recording for like 3 minutes. And I just had to like space it out. So I had to choose from certain shit to talk about. But yeah, I don't know, listening to myself talk about what I want to do is kind of, it's weird to me sometimes.
Right.
But once Leftovers dropped, that made me feel like everything, no matter where I stand, no matter how broke or rich I was, you know, at the time, it really was like a full circle moment for me.
Right.
Because I had struggled for so long to drop an album or any body of work. The whole time that I was a part of TMG, I was dropping singles.
Right.
I had never dropped a full body of work. I had not even an EP, not even 3 songs together at once. It was just one song, a couple months, maybe a month go by, another song, same thing. And it was just repetitive. And
was that just because you was, like you said, going through things at the time, or was that just more of just, you wasn't sure?
I was going through a lot of things at the time, but that wasn't really the deal. I don't think I had really found myself yet in music and really figured out what I wanted to talk about.
Right.
I was just writing stuff. So whatever came to mind, I'm just piecing that into songs. And it turned out to be a lot of, fun, vibey music, but I wasn't really talking about a lot.
Right.
Until maybe like 2016 hit, and that was like a year after my grandma passed. So once she passed away, that was probably the turning point for where I had to really figure out what I wanted to talk about. So just dropping the singles was me just trying to be consistent and really just get my name out there and show people that, yeah, I can rap. Because a lot of people, would ask me, because I would write all the time. I was writing in school. Majority of the time, I wasn't doing schoolwork. I was writing raps.
Right. So
people was asking me, what you write? And then I would rap in certain classes. So people was always asking me, when you gonna drop something? When you gonna drop something? And then when Reggie hit me up about TMG, I'm like, this is the perfect time for me to get my name out here.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with some niggas I grew up with. We all doing music.
Right.
Hell yeah. This is perfect. But I wasn't focused on drop. I wanted to drop projects then, but I didn't have the focus to drop a project at the time. Right. So that's just why it never happened.
Yeah. See, when we young like that, our mind is still kind of.
Man, I was out there during that time. I'm partying everywhere. I don't care what side of town it's on. I mean, excuse me. I was going through a lot.
Yeah.
When it came to overdoing drugs, and when I say drugs, I don't mean hard shit. I mean just like smoking weed and then drinking lean and then popping pills and then drinking alcohol. I was doing a lot of that shit all at once on a daily basis. Right. So that's a lot in itself.
Yeah, yeah. We all had that stage, but yeah. I mean, you found something that you love to do, so it just. It weighed out all that
Most
stuff.
Definitely.
Yeah. But yeah. So tell me about the Sagtown freestyle. I was because I was going through your YouTube page, and I was trying to find tried to find the very first song posted on YouTube.
I'm gonna give you a little Easter egg here, and you probably gonna be the only person to witness this, but that's actually not the first video on my page. That's just the first video that everybody else can see.
Okay.
I was uploading a lot of things on YouTube because this was during the time where everybody was going viral for everything, no matter what the fuck it was.
This was 2016? Well, 6 years ago. It said 6 years ago on the...
Let me scroll down and see. When I first got my YouTube, I was just posting like songs and, songs with lyrics, because that's what people was, trying to find different vintage songs and, Aaliyah songs, TLC videos, whatever. But the first song that, did I delete it? I think I deleted them. I did, because I cleaned up my page. But I can still give you a hint about it. I had started posting videos of me just freestyles and stuff that I was writing. When I first started writing, I wasn't writing on paper. I was, but the majority of the things that I was doing was writing on the computer. I would go to Word and I would type that shit out, because I was on the computer all day, because I was teaching myself how to make beats as well. Mm. But I would just find 90s beats. That's all I was rapping off of for maybe like a year and a half. That was it. I didn't want to go past that. I like new shit here and there, but it wasn't easy for me to write to. So I really had to start completely from the bottom, from like Sugar Hill Gang type shit, just to see the growth in rap. So when I tell you I studied like a motherfucker. So me posting those videos on YouTube, it was hella embarrassing, because I was shy about it, but I'm like, okay, somebody might see this. But one of the first songs that I posted on there was my rap remix to Erykah Badu's Tyrone.
Okay.
The song is on there. The video is not. I would just put my phone up next to the like sitting up on the computer and just rap. So I'm reading my shit off the computer, my phone here. That was like an everyday thing for me. So I had mad videos on YouTube, but after a while of me posting music and taking it seriously, them shits got hella embarrassing. Because it was so much growth in my lyrics, and how I write now is like a million times different than how I was writing then. So that shit was like trash to me.
I see a lot of artists say that too. Like a lot of their old stuff just don't matter, but that just shows, like you said, it shows like the progression.
Yeah.
But when I was listening to that Sagtown freestyle, it seemed like you had already been doing the stuff.
And that's why I say it's crazy. I had the potential then, I didn't realize it.
Right. Okay.
I didn't realize what kind of writing that I really could do, because I was trying, don't get me wrong, I was trying, but I don't think I had pushed myself hard enough, because I hadn't found a beat that I liked the most.
Okay.
The reason that I went hard on that is because Crooklyn is one of my favorite movies, and the credits that roll at the end, that song plays, Crooklyn Dodgers by the Crooklyn Dodgers. That record was hard. And then when the Notorious movie came out, the girl who was playing Lil' Kim, when she turned up the radio, that was the song that was playing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why I keep hearing this? So it stuck with me for a long time. So when I was just on YouTube scrolling through beats and that shit popped up, I'm like, okay, this is 3 times over, this course of years. I'm like, okay, I need to do something to this. And that song flowed like water. That was probably one of the only songs back then that it didn't take me forever to write.
Right.
Where I'm just like, I zoomed through that song. I think I finished that song in like 20 minutes. Where typically it might take me, just because I be on the move at work and doing a lot of other shit, it might take me maybe a day or 2 to finish a song in its entirety.
Right.
But that song, that's my dad's favorite.
I seen a comment on there. Yeah, I seen this comment.
That is my dad's favorite song. No matter how many songs I put out, when he tell people I rap, that's the only song he play.
That shit was nice. Like I said, I'm like, it put me in a mind state of like how, because my favorite artist probably of all time would be Drake. Mm-hmm. So you know how when he came out, like when he first came out, it was just like, okay, he giving us bars. Mm-hmm. What more can he do? Right. And then he progressed. So it was just it was like the same for you basically, right? It was just like,
for sure.
Yeah, so it's just that, like when I at a point in time I wanted to be a rapper or a producer. So it was just the thing about me, like I was more like how you were, like I didn't know if people was gonna vibe to it and all that other stuff. But I mean, listening to Leftovers, some of your singles on YouTube, like that shit inspired me. You know what I'm saying? Like,
thank you.
I mean, it wasn't one of the only things that inspired me, but like hearing that interlude and then just listening to Angie from 6 years ago to now, you see the work. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Which leads me to the stay around.
Yeah, that is the fan favorite now. That is everybody's vibe. And I have to give my props to Snow Allegra for a beautiful track to begin with, because I Want You Around.
Underrated
Snow
track.
Allegra is just underrated, period. Mm-hmm. Because when I don't care what a sister look like. She light skinned, dark skinned, she dark like night, she bright like day. I do not care. That woman is definitely has a hand in bringing R&B back, real R&B.
I think Kalani does too.
I definitely think she does, especially with that pen. She can write her ass off, and she can paint a picture so well.
Right, like
so well.
Yeah, I just started listening to her like maybe 2 years ago now. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know that one song with her and Ty Dolla $ign. I didn't know that was her. You know what I'm saying? I was thinking like, okay, this is just one of them pop artists. Yep. But then I think what song put me? I think it was either Can I or Toxic.
Probably Toxic. That was everybody's thing, especially for the video, because the video was very sexy.
So yeah.
But yeah, I've been listening to Kehlani since maybe a year after she came out. I got hip to her on her second mixtape, and I've been just like hooked ever since, because her style of writing and how she paints that picture is how I want my stuff to be, at least the stuff that I do when I'm singing.
Yeah.
Like, I have trouble writing R&B music. I'm not an R&B writer for real. But rapping, I can do that easily. But
what do you consider R&B writing though?
R&B writing to me is a lot more sensual, and it take a lot more thought than rapping. Not saying that let me not word it like that, because I think they both equally take a lot of work to really, like, if you speaking about something for real and you trying to put like either a message through it, or you trying to have somebody relate to you, you know, you want people to listen to it like that, it takes a lot of work. But I think writing R&B music, because you have to sing it, singing tends to give a lot more feeling than rap.
Right.
So I just think writing R&B, it take a lot. Like, when you listen to the R&B songs like that we grew up on, like, to me, like Janet Jackson, the writers that she had, like Jimmy Jam, that's the kind of writing that I strive to write like. But that, I don't know, I think that's a different kind of gift, because it's crazy. I can't really explain it, because I'm more of a rap writer. Like, I can write. I even have trouble writing choruses.
For real?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's...
So it's weird. It's weird. I can talk about rapping all day, but when it comes to R&B, I can only talk a little bit, because I don't sing like that. I used to, but then once my voice changed and then I started smoking, yeah, that was kind of the O for that, because I have, as you can hear, I have a raspy voice. So, but my singing voice don't really match. So it's weird. My singing voice is really soft. So I think once I take like voice lessons, I'll probably sing a little bit more. But R&B writing is a class in itself.
I mean, but from what I heard from Stay Around and stuff on the Summertime EP, and some of the songs on Leftovers, like, you got that singing like there, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, do you think that you'll ever put out like a strictly R&B tape, or
you gonna hear some of everything from me once I really practice? Like, I practice every day on rap, but once I really just buckle down and practice more on singing, and, you know, give me a vocal coach and stuff like that, you'll hear a whole R&B album from me. You'll get a pop album from me.
Right.
You might get a country album from me.
You want to do it all?
I do. Yeah. And it's crazy. My next up right now after rap is not R&B, it's rock. And I think that's probably something people would never think from me. But
people
I love
sleep
rock
on rock
music. I love rock music.
People sleep on that. Like, when I was like ninth grade, around ninth grade is when I started like dibbling and dabbling into the rock and seeing who this group was and who that group was. I mean, and they tell stories. Like,
and I love it. I love the way they tell stories because it's gritty. Yeah. And sometimes it gotta be like that because I feel like sometimes R&B, like I said, it's a writing in itself. Sometimes R&B can sugarcoat shit. Yeah. A lot of times. Until you get artists like Jasmine Sullivan or like Bryson Tiller, SZA, you know, those kind of artists. R&B can sugarcoat a lot of shit, but rock give it to you hard. They don't give a fuck how you feel.
Right.
And I think that's kind of the moment that I'm in right now because I really don't give a fuck how other people feel about what I want to do with my music right now. Right. Because I'm going to do it regardless. So I've been listening to rock since I was a kid because my dad listened to rock a lot. He listened to one of my favorite groups and probably his favorite groups is the Police. I listen to a lot of the Police. They that song that Diddy sampled for I'll Be Missing You.
Yeah.
That's a Police record.
Okay.
Yeah. That's the sample to it.
Yeah, that's smooth. I love music. I love music when it comes to like the sampling tip, you know what I'm saying? Because
for sure.
It puts you back in that time when that song came out, or just how you may have felt when that song came out, and then you have your version of it, and it's just like damn, like it's just, you know, the shit's relatable. Like this made me want to go back and listen to this song. So like are you gonna be on that? Are you gonna be like more sample like heavy leading on, or are you gonna like try to branch off and like try to? I mean, because I know you said you didn't want to, you know, you want to keep that in your music, but
I definitely want to keep it, but I don't think I'm gonna be doing as much heavy sampling once I really get solidified in, you know, like the industry. I want a band. I always have, because I love live music. I went to a lot of concerts growing up. Most of them was gospel, and that's where I really got a true love for instruments, live music, because a lot of my family played an instrument or they sang in the choir. And, you know, with me growing up as well singing in the choir, we right next to the music. So when I'm not singing and they playing or, you know, just whatever, even during offering, I'm watching drummers, I'm watching the piano, you know. Even when people was shouting, they playing the music, I'm clapping, not paying them no attention because I'm over here in the music. It's sad to say, but that the experience of growing up in church really made me want my own band, especially with the church that I grew up in, where they had a little bit more leeway of bringing concerts to their church because it was big. A lot of my favorite gospel artists that I grew up on has been to my church.
Right.
And watching their bands and then watching their bands on YouTube. Yeah. It just, that's it for me. I want a band. So once I get a band, you'll probably hear a lot more the internet, Earth Gang kind of vibes.
Okay. See, I only heard that one song that everybody may know about the internet.
The internet.
That
girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was smooth. Like
that's
That was like, that put me like in a mid 2000s type of vibe. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And the first time I heard it, I was seeing the video at the same time, and I'm like, who is this dude singing?
Right.
I thought it was a dude, and I'm like, I had to look. I like, because I think I was like waking up out my sleep or something. Because I always had my TV on VH1 Soul, was BET Soul now, but VH1 Soul. And I think I was waking up or something, and I was hearing that. I'm like, who is this? I'm thinking it's an Aaliyah song. So I'm waking up like, ooh, let me watch this. And I'm like, who is this? And then so I listened to the whole song. I'm like, man, this is a vibe. And then when it came up, it said the internet. What the fuck is that? I think that was probably one of the best finds that I have found in a long time, just because I love the vibe that they have. They got this song called, I gotta look it up now because it's gonna blow me. I can't think of it, but Tyler the Creator is on it.
Yeah, who was also a... People are too
Palace.
cool.
That's what it's called. Palace. On the album is Palace / Curse. Curse is the one that got me because on the video, on Curse, that's from they put together like 3 different songs into a video, which was the Special Affair song, and then that went into Curse. And then after Curse, then Palace came on. So I'm like, man, that was dope. So once I heard that, I was really for real hooked on the band. Even though I was already thinking that before, but seeing their band and then just her just being a girl, having an all guy band.
Yeah.
Because most of the people I hang with is guys anyway. Always grew up with a lot of guy friends. I'm like, man, I want to do that. I need me a band. But the internet was like, they dope as shit.
I need to check them out some more because I only listen to, because I had like a playlist in my in my
I
phone.
bet you heard a song by them and probably didn't know it was them. I know you probably heard this. I knew it was gonna do that. It's always an ad.
Man.
I hate that. YouTube is so iffy for that.
And we ain't never had ads like coming up.
Never. But let me see. I'm gonna skip ahead.
This song's
So when I heard that, crazy.
A lot of music, like, that's why I don't really care for music videos no more.
Yeah.
Because
they don't paint a picture.
When you actually just listening to it, like, you paint the picture yourself.
Exactly. You see what you hearing.
Right.
And I feel like we kind of miss those older videos where you get what you see when you hear, when you first listen to it. You don't get that anymore. You just get whatever. Everybody does the same thing. Money to their ear.
Yeah, money
girls naked, shaking their butts in the camera. I mean, it's cool.
But it's not. I don't feel like it's original.
It's not. It's not original. It wasn't original when 2 Live Crew was doing that shit.
Yeah.
It wasn't original then.
So I heard the song with you and G.
Oh yeah, and that's my joy.
My first thought was like, before I listened to it, I'm like, because I was already listening to your music and I listened to a big portion of his too. I'm like, how's this gonna work?
Yeah, I think a lot of people was thinking that, but I knew when I first heard that beat, I knew who I wanted to have on there.
Yeah,
because
that shit was hard.
I sometimes, so it's weird. Always have different feelings when I write. When I was writing No Stuntin', I was having trouble writing the second verse. And every time I have trouble writing the second verse, those tend to be the songs where I feel like it's like God or Spirit is like telling me, you need a feature. You need to put somebody on this song. So when I was having trouble with it, I'm listening. So I'm like, okay, I know exactly what I'm going to put on here too. I'm like, okay, he hype as hell. So I wanted my shit to match, especially for what I was writing, just for that to be that hype song. I'm like, I need G on there for sure, because his energy is crazy.
Hell yeah.
It's crazy, and I strive to have that energy because I be so relaxed and so chill, even on the track. So I knew with having the kind of beat that I had, I knew his voice and his energy would up that and, you know, make it the song that it is.
Yeah, that was
his verse was hard as fuck. First time I heard that shit, me and Cass and the kids was in the car, turned that mug on, and the girls in the back seat going crazy. It was so funny because that's how I pick my beats. Usually I'll play some music around them, and if they dance and they jig to it, okay, this a hit. Because if kids like that shit, adults gonna like that shit. But if your kids don't vibe to that shit, you need to turn it off.
Because that's what we build in the next set, the next life for. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it was just, when I heard that, I'm like, you know, because I don't really see, like, you know, G, like, I'm thinking of his energy, and I thought of yours. Like, yours is more of like a laid back, smooth, and then G, you know, he got the music where you want to go, like, dance or something like that, or go to a party or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So that was a good, perfect combination of a song. Like, I didn't know how to take that. I went in there blind. I'm like, I don't want to.
I think everybody went in blind. I kind of went in blind a little bit, and it's funny. The chorus to that song is not a chorus, but I made it one because it was literally just the first two bars of my my verse. Yeah. So I'm in the studio like, I'm telling this dude, like, I don't got no fucking chorus for this. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I know G gonna be hype, so I need some hype shit on here. And my engineer, Fo, shout out what's happening, Fo, he was like, why don't you just use this part of your verse as your chorus? So he chopped it up and he placed it there, and he was like, okay, so just listen to it and see what you think. So as soon as it came in, niggas try to play like I ain't hot or something. Just because you don't see it don't mean I ain't got a lot of something. I was like, okay. Yeah. So I'm like, all right, bet. That's it.
Sometimes them verses be hooks for real. You know what I'm saying?
And I'm like, so I had to think of my Drake mode. Because sometimes he be having them kind of choruses where it's really a part of his verse, but he just, you know, kind of threw that out there. So I'm like, okay, cool. I'm going to go with it.
Right. Yeah, that worked out pretty well. So do you have anybody in the city that, as far as artists go, or just anybody, do you have anybody that inspires your music? Inspires you to, like, do the music, or is it just more so just what we talked about earlier as far as times and then, you know?
I would say Miko. He used to go, Miko Supreme, aka Friends with Miko. That is probably the main artist out of Saginaw that really made me want to change my vibe. Right. And really just, like, his writing style is different, and I loved it from the very beginning. So I'm like, man, he's really the only guy personally that I think has the same vibe that I do. And that's just because I listen to a lot of his stuff. Right. But yeah, Miko is goated. And he definitely, I don't know what his plans is, but if he's still on it, he definitely next up.
Yeah, from the city.
Yeah, for sure. Especially, you know, for the vibes, yeah, for sure.
And I don't know. I feel like the city of Saginaw as artists, I feel like y'all do need to come together.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Same.
y'all don't necessarily have to like be all buddy,
Right.
but like drop like a just a huge Saginaw cipher,
Mm-hmm.
or you know, like y'all just start going to one another groups and just making songs together. Because I really feel like that'll bring the attention.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? That'll bring everything that y'all want.
For sure.
And because you know, you see Detroit, or I mean, I hate comparing. Like I said, because I want Saginaw to be Saginaw.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
But I feel you though. I get what you're saying.
Like you got the Detroits, you got Atlanta, you got all them
Yeah.
coming together. Not really so much associated with each
Mm-hmm.
other, but like they know people who know people, and
Mm-hmm.
doing this, that, and the third. I think that'll just blow the whole city up for real.
I definitely think it will. I think to me it's just I think it's on the when it comes to the people that does the same kind of music that I do, we ready for it.
Yeah,
We ready for it, but at the same time, I think it's just waiting on the guys that honestly that do trap music. You know what I mean? A lot of them don't like to stray from that. When it comes to like my vibe of music, yeah, they'll listen to it here and there, but it ain't their favorite, so it's not something that they really be willing to step out of their box for.
Yeah.
So I think right now we just kind of waiting on these guys to get versatile for real.
Yeah,
Because us that are like versatile, then don't get me wrong, it's not all the trap guys, because it's a nice handful of those that tap into, you know, all the vibes.
right.
But if all of us gonna do it, all of us got to be in on it.
Yeah.
So
I mean, because you can bring that trap vibe, like you.
yeah, for sure. And I mean, shit, and I fuck with the trap vibe, so I'll get on the trap song, no problem.
Yeah, I got a special time and place when I listen to trap. You know what I'm saying?
I feel you.
Other than that, is just more like, you know, the vibes that, cause I'm just strictly just talking about local. You know what I'm saying? I'm not even talking about, you know, them.
Yeah.
But like the vibes that you bring, I feel will like lighten up the city, because some of these artists, some of these trap artists may be like insecure about what they really want to talk about.
Yeah.
So
and that's why I'm waiting on them to step
Right.
out that box. You know,
Right.
you just gotta. It's in that time of finding themselves, and we also gotta think a lot of the trap scene right now in Saginaw is a lot of younger guys. You know, a
Yeah.
lot of guys that haven't completely fully lived up to either a breaking point or, you know, a lot of. I mean, don't get me wrong. A lot of you know, people's homies is dying, and those be breaking points for people. But at the same time, just having that own breaking point within yourself and really having to find yourself, I don't think they've all found themselves yet.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's just time. You know, just have to wait.
Yeah.
It's a process, and I'm rooting for everybody, you know, to really find what they want to do, because I feel like with the way the mainstream music scene is right now, I think that's heavily influenced on what we doing.
Mm-hmm.
So
As far as what though, just
it's
like
as far as just like the sounds,
sound. Okay.
yeah, because it's what's hot. You know what I mean? And ain't nothing wrong with doing what's hot, nothing at all, because you probably even gonna get on quicker before me.
Right.
But at the same time, if you one of them people that have a story to tell, especially it's a lot of trap rappers that have stories to tell. If you one of them people, you gotta find your own sound. Like I
And
was
a
just
lot of that
talking,
music.
doing a photo shoot. Photographer, shout out Angel Villarreal. She was we was talking about Rod Wave, and she was talking about one of the homies said all his shit sound the same. And I used to think the same thing for a long time about him and about Youngboy.
Right.
Until I started, you know, actually listening to different songs here and there and hearing the way, you know, they told different stories. I'm like, oh, okay, it's not really the same sound. He just found his sound and how he chooses to deliver that.
Right. And see, I never thought of it like that.
Yeah.
I never thought of it that way. Like, because, you know, I got some artists that I listen to. I'll be like, yeah, his shit sound the same. I don't really think I like it.
Yeah.
But then, you know, you go and you actually listen to what they talking about. Like you said, it's different.
It's all in listening to the words. I think that's and that's where I think we fucked up in the music industry right now, because nobody is listening to the words. Right. Everybody is listening to the beat. It's all on whatever counts right now. The only thing that counts to the music industry, fuck what counts to us. What matters to them is it gonna play in the club? Is it hot for radio play? Can a bitch shake their ass to it? Mm-hmm. If them three is yeses, then it's a hit for them. You know what I mean? Right. And if it's, you know, obviously some good lyrical content here and there and a nice producer. So, right. You know, that 5 right there. Don't nobody really care for real about what's being talked about.
Yeah. And
that's why I think it's harder at times for people like me to get on, because of lyrical content and because of, you know, the vibes. Not all of my songs like club bangers. I don't really make that kind of music. But I think with the industry, I'll say like breeding people like me and people like J. Cole and people like Chica and people like Boz, you know, those kind of people. I think our set of people is going to be that group to kind of help lead the way to other people that want to do that.
Yeah. And
also while mashing together, you know, our sounds, mashing that with trap, mashing that with I don't know what you really I call it emo rap with like Juice WRLD and X and Lil Uzi Vert. I think once everybody just really just be themselves and figure out,
instead of trying to like
conform to
get confirmation that like this is a hit, like like.
And I get people influenced by certain artists, and you know that might influence your sound, but don't let that be you. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's still, because at the end of the day, if you doing the same thing that this man is doing, why would they pay you if they already paying him?
Yeah.
Make them pay you for your own shit, your own sound. It might sound, you know, similar, but it shows the influence, but still have your own thing.
Right. So, do you have any special, like, because I know you have a project coming up pretty soon. You have any special features on there? Like, do you have any like or is it more still
it's more
like,
so of just wanting to connect with people.
So you at that
I got some people in mind, but I don't have anything solidified at the moment.
So you like at that stage of your career where you still trying to tell your story.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So I'm still in that moment of trying to get people to know who I am, right. Because, and also changing my rap name because
you getting flack for that. You getting some.
Not really getting flack for it. I just don't want it to be that, you know what I mean? I don't want that, you know, ZHANÉ to feel like I'm trying to get, you know, bread off of them, you know, or anything like that. But I just want them to know that it's, you know, just paying homage because that is my middle name. My mom did name me after them. But I want them to have all they praise with their name, continue to get, you know, the bread they get, or, you know, whatever, from them having ZHANÉ as their name. So I'm just personally wanting to change it just because it's definitely me because it's my middle name, but I don't feel like that's I don't feel like that's it. I still, like, I've always felt like this ain't the rap name for me, even from when I first started. I never really knew what rap name I really wanted.
So what made you stick with it though?
With JON?
Yeah,
just because it's my middle name.
Just because it's your middle
Not
name?
really just because it's my middle name, but 50%. I think it's just because it'd probably be easier, you know,
right.
for people to, oh, okay, so that's such and such, you know, whatever. When you go, like, especially if you got me as a Facebook friend, so you see my profile, you know, the picture, you know, it might be an album cover, whatever, and then you see that as my middle name. So it's like, oh, okay, so that's her name, whatever, you know, just to still have that, how can I word it? Kind of having that, that almost that 90s feel where most of the R&B, the women in R&B just use either their first name, you know, just one name type deal. That was my vibe for it. So you had ZHANÉ, you got Jade, Janet, you know, all these. So I'm like, ooh, I need mine, ZHANÉ. So I'm going to just stick with that. But I'm still in the process of trying to figure out what I want it to be.
You got any ideas jotted down, or you just thinking as you go?
I don't know. You know what's crazy? I've been asking people to help me out with this for a long time because I don't really know. My older brother, he gave me an idea maybe like a year or so ago. Now that I think about it, it might have been like 2 years ago now. My granny, before she passed away, all my life, she used to call me Lady Mary. And he was like, you should use that. He was like, you know, you a stoner. Obviously, you a girl. I'm like, that's stupid. But I thought about it. I'm like, it wouldn't be bad because it was, you know, something my granny called me. That'd be a way to keep that alive, you know, memories for me. But the only thing that I wasn't sold on was a 2-word name. I want a 1-word name. But I just can't think of Mary? What it is. Or what, Mary? I thought about that.
But it just don't.
But it just don't ring for me. Because instantly when I think of Mary, I think of Mary J. Blige.
Right.
So,
yeah.
Or Mary. So I'm like, nah, I don't want that. Because I think we had a lot of different Marys. The Mary Jane girls, Mary J. Blige, Mary. It's too many Marys. I don't want to be the next.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm thinking about it.
See, I'm sitting here trying to think of a
name
right? that might go. Yeah, so it's, I mean, I'm trying to think. So where do you see, what is your initial plan for your music? Like, where do you see your music? How do you see your music impacting you or just anybody else in the next maybe 5 to 10 years?
You know what's crazy? I'm one of those people that like daydream. And every time I think about my music and different, you know, meaningful songs, I always see myself as being one of those artists that influence children to really just be themselves. And I really want my music to be that help for a lot of people because growing up, I needed more people to tell me that it was okay to rap. You know what I mean? I needed people to tell me that you don't have to be that all A student, you know, like, you know, your parents obviously expect you to be.
Right.
But it was a struggle for me knowing then what I wanted to do, but not really knowing what kind of support I was going to get. So once I did just, you know, start really doing music, I'm like, I really want to reach people, with my shit. I don't want it to just be the next mainstream bubblegum pop rap artist. I don't want it to be that. Don't get me wrong, I'll probably collab with some mainstream people. I'm gonna do some little stuff here and there.
Right.
Some fun stuff. Cause I mean, I'm gonna have fun with it for sure. But I want the majority of whatever I put out, my entire catalog, to damn near be like Bible for people that just really need somebody to talk to, or really just need to hear just good things.
Right. So basically just like letting the younger generation know that they can be themselves and not really like live off the expectation of others. For real. Yeah.
I just really want to influence that, because it took me a long time to really figure out myself and what I wanted to do, the kind of person that I needed to be. It took me a long time. And the one person in my, well, I won't say the one person, one of the main people in my life that really pushed me to be whatever I wanted to be was my grandma.
Right.
So a lot of my music that I do is it bring me closer to her. So that's my way of like thanking her for pushing me. So I want to help somebody else through whatever I speak about. And it's crazy because when I was growing up, my granny used to tell me this story when our church was on the south side. I think I was like maybe like 2 or 3 years old. We was leaving church. And it's crazy because I remember it, but I didn't remember what they was talking about. But when she started telling me the story, like I can like see it for myself.
Right.
And she was telling me we was leaving church, and the way our church was, you had to go up the stairs at the front door to go to the sanctuary. So we going down the stairs to go towards the basement. You know, they had a little food and stuff down there.
I think I might know what church is it?
It was Williams Temple back in the day, but it was Victorious Believers when we was there. It's on Grant Street.
Okay, I was thinking about Messiah, because they stuff set up like kind of set up like that too.
It's pretty much the same setup.
Right.
But we going down the stairs, and this lady had stopped my grandma. And I had seen her, you know, here and there at church, but I didn't know her like that because my granny didn't just like speak to her every day, like, you know, certain people, you know, that I knew in the church. And she just stopped us. And I remember I was holding my granny hand, and my granny was telling me, she was like, yes, she stopped us, and she looked at you for a while. And she asked, she was like, this your granddaughter? And she was like, yeah. And she looked at me again, and I was kind of nervous because I'm like, why are you looking at me like that? So I was holding her hand, and I kind of slid behind her back. And she looked at my granny, and she said, you know, she's going to be a really great writer one day.
She just out of the blue just said, just
out of the blue.
Just stares you down like, yeah.
She knew. I don't know who she is to this day. I don't know who she is. I don't ever remember seeing her again.
And that's weird that's crazy that you say that, just because I feel like we have those people that we see or that's been there, and they'll just tell you something, and then it's just like you said, you just never saw her again.
Yeah.
And I it's like that it's also like that with me. You know what I'm saying? Like, not to be on no like, I mean, I don't know. I don't care. But like, just sometimes I feel like there is like a voice there, and it, you know, talking to me, telling me like, yeah, this is what you need to do, blah blah blah. So yeah, it's crazy that you say that, and it did come to light though. You know,
and that's what's trippy to me, because I always stuck so close to my grandma. So once I got older, I think after that point, I started to listen to a lot of things that people were saying. So as a kid, I was very observant.
Right.
And my granny always used to tell me that. She was like, even as a baby, you was always just looking. You were just looking to see what people was doing. my brother will walk back and forth as a baby. I'm
just like, what are you doing?
very observant.
Right.
And that's just, I soaked up everything. Every single thing, from emotions to words to, so everything that people were saying, I would hear just different conversations without even really trying to hear it. And it would be weird sometimes because people would be so amazed at stuff that I was doing that I didn't know was just like big for a kid back then.
It was just natural.
It was natural to me. So as a kid, like when my grandma would buy me like coloring books and stuff like that, I lay on the floor in the living room on my stomach. I'm drawing, coloring, and I was, as a kid, all kids colored outside the lines. I had those times here and there, but once I really got coloring down pat, I think from like three or four, I never colored outside the lines.
All right.
And I remember the bishop from my church came over. He was talking to my granddad. And he was walking past me as I'm laying on the floor. And he was like, "How old is she?" "Yep, go have a seat." He was like, "How old is she?" And I think I was like 4. And he was like, most 4-year-olds don't. Yeah, I know it's 4. Most 4-year-olds don't color inside the lines.
Right.
And I'm just like, I'm sitting there like, I can hear you, but I'm not finna say anything. It's not my conversation. But I'm like, I'm still coloring and listening to what they saying. And I remember thinking that it was funny back then because I'm like, yeah, I'm doing this. But I never really noticed how much I was into writing and then how much I was into drawing at that time, because that developed into, me painting and doing graphic design and visual design and clothing, all of that stuff. And it was just crazy, these different people that would be around and just notice those little things. It used to trip me out until I'm like, oh, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And it was always people from church. Always. So with the writing, I had that lady at 2-3 years old. Then my bishop at 4 years old. And then once I started singing, I never forget, they gave me a solo. And I was very shy as a kid. I'm still shy.
Right.
But singing in front of people wasn't something I had done like that. So I was nervous as hell, but I did the song. And I think after that moment and just like hearing people clap for my singing at a very young age, and people was coming up to me after church, "Oh my God," and they was talking to my mom, "I didn't know she could sing like that," and da, 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 da. "Oh my goodness, and you did so good." And I'm like, thanks. Like,
right, yeah.
Okay. Like, it never hit me. It never hit me. It was crazy. But looking back on stuff like that, like, everybody else knew
Right.
what I was supposed to be doing except for me with my writing, and then just having that connection with being on stage and, singing and talking in front of people, and then with my art. It's just crazy, like, thinking that all of that stuff came full circle.
Right.
But it's also crazy that everybody that kind of pointed those things out, like my grandma, and then the lady that talked to my grandma, my bishop, they all passed away before I started, like, taking rap serious.
You feel like their spirit is just like with you every time you write or draw, or
yeah, it's crazy because I can just be randomly writing and then I'll think about that time where the lady is like, "Oh yeah, she gonna be a great writer," or I'll be painting and I think about, man, most 4-year-olds don't color inside the lines, or I'll be getting ready to do a show or something and have a flashback of like singing that first solo is crazy. But my sister is how can I word it? Very spiritually inclined.
Okay.
And she reads tarot, and she's very, connected with our ancestors. And over the years, she helped me a lot with that. And I think during this moment where I'm doing a lot of writing and doing a lot of things at once that's helping me push to where I want to be in my music, I definitely feel like it's all of the people that spoke this over my life. My grandma, the woman, my bishop. And then with Trey passing so sudden, I think everything is just like taking off now. Yeah. Because Trey was the most supportive friend I've ever had.
Right.
And that was my best friend since we was 2. Or before that, shoot. Man. So it was crazy once he passed. Like, things would pick up quick where I would hear more and more people, yeah, you need to keep going, you need to do this, you need to do that, I like your music. And it was just, everything was happening so quick. And I'm like, I don't understand. So once that happened and I believe he was in the hospital at the time, I called my sister and we was talking about that. And she read some cards to me. And she pretty much told me that he kind of felt like he would be stronger gone. And he would be stronger in helping the people he loved get to where they need to be.
Right.
And it's trippy because I had already felt that, with my granny, with my bishop. I had already felt that. But to hear my sister say that because she felt that, and then in the cards that I was getting, it was trippy. But I've noticed that Trey right now is a guiding light for a lot of people.
Yeah. Spiritually,
like those that really know what's going on, he is a real guiding light right now. And it's crazy. So with his strong presence not being here physically, I don't know what's, after this life.
Yeah.
But whatever they doing over there, it's some powerful niggatry at work over there.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's crazy. But
and see, my first time meeting him, I had just moved to Saginaw from Texas. And, we played football. It was also my first year playing football.
Yeah.
So he was one of the ones that I noticed because, I pay attention, I observe people with just like who I can compare, like if I just watch like a TV show or something or listen to a song or something, like how could I, who is this person? You know what I'm saying? And when I seen him, and listen to him talk and just see how him and Reggie was and all that, I'm like, yeah, this like one of the outgoing, like from what I seen, he was outgoing, funny, everything.
Funny as shit, and he was always like that class clown guy. But Trey was super supportive. So anytime I was going through like anything, especially when my grandma had passed, I wanted to quit.
Yeah.
I wanted to quit. I wanted to quit it all. I started getting lean again. I'm like, I don't care. I don't want to do any of this. Fuck this shit because I don't got no help now.
Right.
Because I don't have nobody to push me through none of this because I'm one of them people that really need that hand on your back.
Right.
For real. And Trey would cuss me out. Man, suck that shit up. fuck that shit. You need to do that shit.
Yeah.
Put that song out. Or if I was painting or paint that shit out, you already know I'm not finna keep telling you this shit. He would threaten me, but it was funny to me because I knew he meant that shit out of love.
Yeah.
Because he really cared.
Yeah.
So after he passed, I can't lie, I had a moment where I'm just like, what the fuck am I supposed to do now?
Yeah.
Like who finna push me? Who finna really just get on my ass when I really need it? I wanted to quit again, but I heard his ass in the back of my head, bro, shut the fuck up and do what you got to do.
Right.
Because you already know how far you gonna get. Because we always talked about he was gonna go to the league. I was gonna be doing my music.
And he was messing with baseball still, wasn't he? Yeah.
He had stopped playing. He had just stopped playing, I think, for like a year. Because he got hurt. He hurt his knee.
Mm-hmm.
And that fucked him up. And I think that really fucked with him for a while because he couldn't play ball.
Yeah, that's one thing. That was another thing I noticed about him, like his passion for sports.
Mm-hmm.
Like especially like
Always.
him like with the baseball thing and
Yep.
football. Like even though like I think they had him playing at nose if I'm not mistaken, and I mean nobody really cared for that position, but he made it like
Made it his.
worth it. Like yeah, it was like him. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like So when I heard the news, even though I haven't seen him since Arthur Hill, like I already knew what type of impact he had on y'all.
For real.
And I mean, like I seen it all over, you know. And I hate seeing stuff on Facebook.
I feel it.
Cause sometimes, like I just feel like that just adds on to what you already thinking about. You know what I'm saying? So I try to stay away from it, but like I said, when I heard, I know we keep going back to this interlude, but that shit really was like, me like with the information that I was provided about everything, and then listening to that, it's just like, I was there. You know what I'm saying? I had a moment. You know what I'm saying? I was thinking about that shit, but like, yeah, that, you know, is good that you're still going with it. You know what I'm saying?
I don't have a choice.
Yeah.
Once I believe it was at his funeral. The neighborhood auntie, Miss Faye. Shout out Miss Faye. That's my baby. I seen Miss Faye at the funeral. And I didn't sit close to the front. You know, I couldn't do it. I sat in the back. Miss Faye was close to the back. And I was coming back to my seat from seeing him in the casket. And I was just breaking down. I couldn't deal. I was waiting on him to wake up, and I couldn't understand what the fuck was going on. I
always get that feeling. Like,
I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
And I was having a moment, and Miss Faye seen me, and she just had her hands out, so I went over there and I cried like a baby. And Miss Faye, one of them people where she really almost bear hug you and get your whole cry out.
It don't even hurt though, like you just.
And I'm just laying, like I feel like a baby crying, so I'm just like I'm letting it all out.
Yeah.
And I feel like he was almost talking through her, and she like, don't quit, don't stop nothing that you're doing, keep going, keep doing your music, keep doing your art. I didn't even know Miss Faye listened to my music. I knew she knew I did painting and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's good.
I didn't know she listened to my music. I didn't even know she knew I did music. But she like, don't stop, don't quit, keep going with everything that you're doing.
And people don't believe that that's real though.
People don't.
That's
and
crazy.
I really felt like that was him because I stood there for so long, like at his casket. So we was at the end of the line. Because I didn't want to go first. I needed that minute to just like stand there. I stood there and I looked around. His paintings was there, and I'm just like, almost wanted to like shake him, like, Trey, get up.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
what did you do? And I couldn't process it. I'm like, okay, all right, cool. And I can't lie, I was kind of pissed. I was kind of mad. So I'm like, all right, he not finna wake up. So I just kind of walked off, and obviously I was crying. But once Miss Faye said that, I really felt like that was him. There. Like, he like, relax, bro. Yeah. I'm still here. And most people don't always have those feelings or moments when, you know, people pass. You know, you might see them in your dreams and you think about them, you think about the memories. But not everybody has those moments where you really hear people like talking to you.
Yeah.
I hear Trey all the time. From the time that they told me that he was in the hospital, I heard him then. Mm-hmm. From Michigan to West Virginia. And he was still conscious then.
Right. That's where he was at when everything happened.
Yep. And then, even when my grandma passed, I had a dream about her the night after that night she passed. Because she passed in her home where I was staying at. The dream I had was so trippy because I was like, how old was I when she passed? That was 2015. Was it 2021? I was 20. Yeah. I just turned 20. I was 20, so I mean, obviously I still look like this in my dream, but I looked in the mirror and I was like 5.
Yeah.
And I'm at my granny house in my dream, so I'm like, why am I down here? I'm thinking I'm awake. Until I looked in the mirror and I'm like I'm doing all the, you know, these little things. I'm like,
yeah, like just like that. It's like that Get Out moment or something, like where you just feel like it's like nothing, but it's something.
So I'm sitting here doing all of this craziness in the mirror. And I instantly see somebody walking towards me. So I'm like, because the way I was sitting, you can sit right on the floor and you can kind of see out the hallway a little bit. So I'm looking, I leaned over and it was my granny coming my way. And I'm like, no, that ain't, no. What the hell is going on? And I'm still at this point thinking I'm awake. So I'm like really tripping. I'm like, man, I must have got lit. Like, I don't know what's going on. And I remember she walked in and she was just looking at me and she kneeled down. Once she kneeled down, the outside me, who I thought was still 20-year-old me, had turned into 5-year-old me. So that person in the mirror, I was now this person on the outside. And I remember her like grabbing my hand, and I looked at my hands, no tattoos, little baby hands, and she looked at me. She was like, "I'm okay, I'm fine."
Right.
She was, "You don't have to worry about it," because we had talked about her passing maybe a week before she did. She knew what was happening, but I ain't want to hear it.
Right.
But that was like, it was trippy to me because that whole time I thought I was awake.
Yeah,
But now I do have those moments where I am awake and like little stuff like that happen. Not like the mirror stuff, but just hearing those words, like without seeing her though, it's almost like how me and you talking right now. It's almost that loud. Yeah. But nobody else can hear it. It's just that loud in my ears.
So you just basically just like zoned out and just literally just listening for real.
Yep. It's crazy. It's hella crazy. Me, Cass, De'Ara, Trey's sister, and Alex, his baby mom. we went out for De'Ara's birthday last month. And we had got so lit to the point where we were like, let's go out to the cemetery. Let's go, put some shots up for Trey. Let's go roll up, smoke with him, whatever. And then we're going to get the fuck on. We was out there for like 3 hours.
Yeah.
In the dark. And it was, black people don't do this.
Right.
Black people do not do this. But the second I had bought a bottle of Bel Air. So I'm like, well, it's De'Ara's birthday. He ain't here to celebrate. So, might as well. The second I stepped my foot on the grass, I wasn't even nowhere near his plot. The cork popped. I hadn't even took the paper off of it yet. I hadn't even shook the bottle or nothing.
Right.
I'm sitting here, I'm holding it the whole time before we get to the cemetery. I mean, the second my feet, pow, and that shit just flew up. And I never found that cork either. I don't know where that shit went. Right.
So he was just ready.
He was like, yeah, ready. Let's turn up. Because, this is baby sister. So I'm like.
Right. It's crazy.
Even just little stuff like that just tripped me out. Because he would come over and we would, let's drink, let's whatever. So that was like one of those moments where I kind of heard him like, yeah, let's get lit. As soon as I hit the grass, it was crazy. But it's always, even though it's sucky with them not being here physically, it gets a little easier, but it take a lot of time. But I think with me kind of being able to hear them and like talk to them on on a certain level, it's a little bit more comforting and it's easier to keep pushing.
Because knowing that they're at peace. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like I said, I could just tell by how Trey sounded, like he had stuff he was going through too. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So
most definitely.
Like not even knowing him, like me, I just pay attention to stuff like that because I feel it's important. Yeah. So yeah, I definitely know. I definitely know what you mean by that because sometimes I catch myself talking to my granddad. You know what I'm saying? Like, and he not physically here. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I definitely see where that's coming from. You know what I'm saying? Where you coming from with that? And I do kind of feel like you put that in your music as well. Mm-hmm. Like, I feel like the type of music that you put out and just the message and everything like that, it's gonna be able to. That's the type of music that's gonna last, that speak to people. You know what I'm saying? And based off what you telling me is like, what you telling me and how your music is like perfect. It's lined up together. Like that stuff goes. Yeah. And that's I do like that's what I do appreciate that. You know what I'm saying? Like, because that helps. That kind of helps me now. You know, in certain areas. So that's crazy. I don't know. I don't even know where to go from that. That was that kind of I could relate. But yeah, so I mean, do you have like we was on that topic for a second. Do you have like, do you ever feel like you'll make like songs about Trey, or is that just more of like a do y'all have songs together, or
I actually have made 2 songs about Trey. One I haven't recorded yet. One is actually out, which is a song about him and my granny and kind of like my emotions and like dealing with it and dealing with it and not dealing with it at the same time. The song it is on Apple is called Still Sunny.
Yeah. Okay.
But it's kind of just me talking about you know, them being really important to me and not being here, you know, kind of when I need them, but still being here at the same time. And just remembering, you know, having those memories and still being able to hear them is the still sunny moments for me where it's not as dark as it seems.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's probably one of my favorites that honestly I was just dropping stuff at the time, so I didn't promote it, so I doubt if a lot of people really tapped in and heard it because I just was throwing stuff out there.
Right.
But I think those was one of the songs that I really didn't want to promote like that because I'm not looking to get no clout off my granny and my Trey off Trey name, you know, or anything like that. So I just kind of released it for me because I felt like it was something I had to just get off my chest. Yeah. And I mean, if you listen to it, you listen to it. If you don't, cool. But it's still there for me, you know, whenever I need it. So a lot of the stuff that I write too is not only for other people, it's for me
it's
as
like
well.
It's like therapy for you, basically.
Yeah.
Does that help better than just talking to somebody, or do you feel like?
Sometimes, because I've done therapy before. I went to therapy, and it was cool, but it didn't help as much as I thought it would, and not to bash or anything like that, but I feel like if I would have had a black therapist, it might have been a little bit better, you know, because they can relate a little bit more.
Yeah. So
I went and, you know, it was cool and I got a lot of stuff off my chest, but it wasn't all that I needed. But with my writing, I definitely use that as therapy. So a lot of the things that you'll either find in the notebook or in my phone, it'd be a lot of random thoughts that I just kind of turn into either poetry or rap. And then eventually, you know, turn them into songs. But I definitely use my writing and my music to release a lot of things that I probably would keep in if I wasn't doing music.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, and like I said, that's good that's how you represent your music versus just like, I'm just putting out music. I'm just trying to make some money. You know what I'm saying? Because you got those people that's like that. Mm-hmm. So and you can tell by just listening to their music that's what they're all about.
Yep.
So it's just like,
you definitely can.
So when it comes, so everything. I'm not saying everything that I didn't think nothing was gonna match up, but like talking to you and listening to your music, definitely, like, I'm even more of a bigger fan than I was. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you.
It was just like, you know what I'm saying? How I listen to music, it may be different from other people, but like when I actually get to sit down and talk and just, you know, see, I just matched everything with the music, and it's perfect. Like, yeah, that was, yeah. And like I said, I just like with the leftovers, like I said, that's one of them. It's one of them projects, like I said, which I compared it to like How a Good Kid, Mad City was, just basically like him telling his story, then like telling my story at the same time too, even though I'm not him.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that relatable music, in my opinion, will last. You know what I'm saying? Like that, I think
I'm praying it does.
Yeah, because like you got J. Cole, like all of his music, even though I say he's like my second or third favorite artist.
When it comes to relatable music, I think I have to put him at number one for me, just because a lot of the stuff that he was saying was really, really, really speaking to me. Even during times where I felt like I was just, well, now I feel like then I was too cocky. You know what I mean? Where I'm just like, I needed to calm down a little bit.
It humbled you.
So, it humbled me a lot to where most of the time you probably won't even hear me brag about nothing.
Right. Yeah.
because I'm not really that kind of person. But a lot of stuff that he was writing was speaking to me. Like, one of my favorite songs by J. Cole is Change.
Oh, hell yeah. Off of the For Your Eyes Only. That's my favorite
For
album.
Your Eyes Only itself.
That.
Right now, it's kind of tough for me to listen to it because it kind of reminds me of Trey. But at the same time, I can't not listen to it because it's so dope. But that song, and then when I was telling you that my sister did that reading for me, about Trey, it was crazy. She told me, she was like, this is a song that just popped into my head and I feel like you should listen to it. And then she sent me the link to Friends.
Friends, yeah.
And I listened to it and it was just like, yeah.
Yeah,
it's so relatable. So listening to, music like that, and then listening to Kendrick sing about me.
Yeah, that's one of his. Like I said,
my God.
Good Kid, Mad City. That's like that reached favorite album of all time for me, especially with the Sing About Me, and then The Dying of Thirst. Like that right there, like that basically spoke my life. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just,
I just felt like all of this, and that's,
he put it out for us.
Yeah,
I feel
and he was really just really speaking to us. And I have a song coming out that I'm praying, it's gonna be like one of those.
One of those.
I know it is personally, but what I'm really praying for is that people really listen. The song is called A Call to Action.
Yeah.
The idea came from my sister. I had found this beat and I didn't know what to do with it. And I loved it though. I'm like, I cannot not do a song to this, but I don't know what to talk about and I don't want to write the wrong thing. Right. So I need a little bit of guidance on this. So I had her listen to it and she was like, okay, so I'm thinking you should write something, whatever comes to your mind when I say a call to action. So I'm like, a call to action? I'm like, what the fuck is that? Like, how the fuck what does this even mean?
Right.
So she kind of gave me a definition and I went from there and we got off of FaceTime, and the very first words that I wrote to that was like, I had a talk with God. He told me, get up off your ass. Don't you know you destined? Stop dwelling on the past. And from that point on, I wrote that part and I left it there. And then that ended up turning into something crazy. So once we finish with the podcast, I'm going to give you a preview of that one because I'm not going to play it yet because it's getting ready to come out soon. Is
it coming on the new
It's
tape,
actually coming as a single.
Okay.
But it's going to be leading the project that that's coming out.
So basically just like a build up, just what that particular project going to be about.
Yep, it's a lot of what you gonna hear on the project is a lot like a call to action, where it's a lot more meaningful. It has a lot more messages. It's also a lot more personal, and just talking about what I'm going through as well, and also just still maintaining that relatable music, pushing people to be themselves, do what you want to do in your life, and don't let anybody dictate at that, Right. So, still maintaining the same vibes, but I think it's a hell of a lot more meaningful.
Okay. Yeah. So, is there any, I believe I asked this already. No, I didn't. So, is there any artists in the city or outside of the city that you may know that you would love to collaborate with? Like who just
I actually just got the it's crazy to me because don't nobody I won't say it like that, he's not like a mainstream artist or anything like that, but he does have a following. It's this guy named Problem Child out of Compton.
Mm-hmm.
I've known him literally through the internet since 2013 because he's a big Aaliyah fan. I'm a big Aaliyah fan. And he did a tribute song to Aaliyah on the 13th year, or no, it was her 12th year, or was it? No, it was her 13th year passing. And he made a song called Come Back to Me. And ever since then, like, I'm like, bro, this nigga's music is dope as hell. So I listened from that point on, and he ended up becoming a big fan of the music that I was doing because he listened to a lot of Nipsey, you know. I listened to Nipsey as well, so it kind of reminded him, you know, different things that I was saying was reminding him of that, and just, you know, having just that real vibe. So we actually have a song that's getting ready to come out really soon. I got to get back in the studio and do some tweaking to it. I know he waiting on my my verse right now. He just hit me the other day like, what's up? But that was probably my my dream feature, just because of where he's based, and him already having a nice following in California. So I think that one is going to be really dope. And then we doing more outside of that, because the collab that we're doing right now is actually one of his songs that I'm just featured on. But I'm pushing him to do another song with me. I'm trying to think who else. To be honest, I don't really think I have anybody else that I want to do a feature with yet, because I recently just did, like, the few features that I did do was like the main ones that I wanted. I got Miko, and that was like, that was like dream feature to me. That was almost like having Beyonce on the track. I'm like, hell yeah. So having Miko on the track, and then getting G on the track with me, and then who else did I just collab with? Al Wicker. You remember Al Wicker?
He went to the Hill?
He played football. He was the year under us.
Oh, so no, I probably don't know.
You probably don't remember. But he go by Al James.
Okay.
Dope as fuck. Dope as fuck. That real relatable shit.
Mm-hmm.
And he make his own beats. Okay. Great ass producer. We did a song together called Midnight Blues. So with them 3 features right there, and then I did another feature with Reggie, because we hadn't done a song together since like 2016.
Yeah.
So doubling back and doing another song with him, that was another big thing for me, because we hadn't done a track in a minute, and that was the first person I ever did, you know, put a song out with. So I'm like, we gotta, you know, link again. Right. So doing them 4 right there, I'm like, shoot, I feel like Cole. Okay, I'm burnt out on features. I'm back to me right now. But yeah, I think I'm just in a moment of just focusing on myself and what I want to do with my stuff right now. And then once I really get that solidified, I'm open to whoever. Right. For real, for real. Whoever, you know, really fuck with my music and really want to work with me, I'm open to that. I ain't just finna be just doing features just to be doing features, because I'm not that kind of person. I'm not finna just be, oh, okay, yeah. I mean, getting money for the features, that's cool. Right. But I'm not really into that, especially if I don't really feel like the music you're doing. Yeah. If it's not if we not on the same page, and if we can't talk about the same things, we can't do music together. Right. So, but yeah, that's just me.
So, you have any more like ending announcements to make before we wrap this up, or?
I do. I have a 5-song EP dropping soon that is produced by Fresh Rich. Okay. I also have a 3-song EP that'll be dropping soon. Which that it's actually not even an EP. It's just gonna be a single pack. Yeah. Which is gonna be 3 singles from the project that's actually coming up. And the big project I do not have a date for that yet, but I can tell you it's like big. It's like 20 tracks.
Okay.
With intros, interludes, outros. So in total, probably like 25.
It's like another like. Is it like a follow up from
Leftovers?
From Leftovers, or is it just like?
No, it's. I think Leftovers was just something that I really just needed to put out there. I needed a body of work to really showcase what I can do.
Right.
But with Clarity, I think I found myself a lot more. So I think this one will be that true album. Leftovers to me is more of a mixtape.
Right.
So with this project, I think it's gonna be different. So I'm gonna let everybody know, don't approach this album as a Leftovers, because it's gonna be way bigger. It's gonna be totally different, and it's definitely gonna have some of the same vibes. Still same sound, still same JONÉ, but a lot more growth in writing and really what I want to speak about. So. And then, like I was saying, just being more personal. And the title for the big project is called Clarity.
Clarity. Okay.
Yeah.
Are you doing another summertime EP, or are you taking a break this summer and then just focusing straight on the album? I mean,
no, I don't, because I don't want to. I don't want everybody to just wait on this big powerful meaningful thing, because that's not everybody vibe. This is definitely something that needs to be said for sure, but I still want to maintain that that vibe where I still put out nice little volume music that everybody can listen to. You can play that at a party, you can smoke to it, whatever. I still want to maintain that. So yeah, I'm gonna still do something like a summertime EP. It probably won't be an EP. It'll probably be probably like a single pack.
Yeah.
So we'll see, but it's definitely I got some stuff that I'm writing right now that has those kind of vibes. So once I really figure out what I want to do with it, you'll definitely see that. So it'll probably be almost June.
Yeah.
Probably within like a month.
Okay. Well, y'all heard that. Be ready, because.
And look, I feel like Ice Cube. These records coming fast,
right? Oh
real
yeah,
quick.
Straight out. Yeah, I was just watching that shit the other day.
Same. But yeah, and then watching movies like that be real, real inspiring. I love movies like that where you see, these artists and how they really went through a lot of shit and came up.
The shit that they talking about.
Yeah.
Now, like, it's crazy how that's it. It seemed like it evolved. Like, it seemed like it's just like, yeah, they was, it was police brutality back then, but it's like now the police is just more and more okay with it.
Yeah.
Even with the body cams on, like they still doing that bullshit. You know what I'm saying? So it's just, I don't know. I don't really know what this world holds at this point.
I don't either, but at the end of the day, I know I'm going to be happy with myself and knowing that I spoke my mind about how I feel about the shit.
Right.
And I'll be glad when everybody really start speaking their mind about it, especially when it comes to the black community, because a lot of us just be like, man, fuck it. A lot of us, I mean, yeah, it's going to always be fuck 12, but at the end of the day, we still gotta have a voice.
Yeah.
We still gotta stand up for us, because obviously nobody else is gonna do that shit. White people definitely ain't standing up for us. I don't care how many of them say they like us. They still not standing up for us like they really could be.
Yeah, they saying all that shit behind the scenes.
You feel me? A lot of these motherfuckers saying that shit for the cameras. Okay, we thank you all the white people that actually do help, but it ain't really helping us none. It ain't nothing gonna help us like us helping us.
Right.
We gotta get ourselves out of this rut that we put us in.
Yeah.
not all of us, put all of this on us, but we got a nice help in fucking ourselves up a little bit, so we gotta get together.
Right.
But I think with the kind of music that I do and a lot of other people that's doing music like me, if we continue on with this wave, we're gonna wake up sooner or later. It's gonna happen.
Yeah. I'm seeing that the city getting a little bit more traction too.
Yeah.
It's just like people gotta put they pride. Some artists gotta put their pride aside and just let go. You know what I'm saying?
It's a prideful game.
Because that's what's really holding a lot of people back is their pride.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Pride, and then a lot of people, not more so local, but more so mainstream. A lot of people just scared to really say what need to be said just because of, I get it. You might can lose your job, but at the end of the day, what's said needed to be said.
Yeah,
and the people that have that platform gotta use it.
Yeah, Tupac a perfect example.
And that's crazy that you brought him up. The song that I was just talking about, Call to Action, I used Tupac's voice for my chorus.
For real.
So I didn't want it to be a sing-songy kind of, vibe. I wanted people to really hear what I got to say. It ain't finna be no singing. This is straight words. And the chorus is straight words because you hear Tupac talking about just the black community itself, and then how the media just uses us to, portray just bad things, the majority of the time. How we always depicted in the media when something happened, no matter if we the victim or not. You know what I mean?
That shit crazy.
So I had to use his voice for that because I didn't think it was nobody else that could tell it like Pac for real. Nobody. Because he gonna tell you. Obviously, it's some people that will, but for people in our age range, I think that's something where people is gonna be like, damn, because Pac was kind of talking about he might not be that person to spark, the change in the world, but he'll definitely be that person to spark the mind that will.
Yeah.
And that meant a lot to me because
that's powerful too. I remember. Yeah. I think that was what interview was that? I think it was a Vibe interview.
I believe it was.
The Vibe, yeah.
I'm gonna have to see. I can't remember because it was. I
know he was pissed too. Like it was like right after he got out of
jail.
Man, he one of them people like even though like we ain't blood or nothing like that, he's just one of them people. I feel like I wouldn't say like a father, but like he was just that was my preacher basically. Yeah, that was my preacher.
That's like our in certain ways that's like our Malcolm X. The way he spoke about the community, he was very very enthralled in our community and just really cared for us as a whole.
Yeah.
No matter what kind of person you was.
Right. He knew everybody had everybody went through something. Everybody got something that they going through. Like, it's so much though. Like, I could talk about Tupac all day.
I know, right?
That dude.
For sure.
Yeah, so I mean, it was. I do want to thank you for giving me this opportunity. I know it's long overdue because we didn't talk about it.
I'm so glad that we got to do this for real.
Yeah,
for sure.
Like I said, I learned some things about you because, like I said, like a lot of people that went to the Hill, like I only went there for 1 year, so like I only got to know y'all for like a certain portion of time. But like now that like everything's different, I'm kind of glad that we can have the conversation that we talked about for a while, and like I said, I learned a lot and it inspired me to do some things, so to change some things, what I'm doing and how I live my life. So I do want to thank you for that, for real.
You welcome. No problem. And that's crazy. I seem to always have that vibe, or I guess that kind of affect a lot of people. After I talk to people, they be like, man, I need to go do this, and that. And it be things that they hadn't done in years. I need to go write. I need to go draw something. Right. One of my coworkers, I let him listen to some of my music. He like, I'm finna start back rapping. Man. And it'd be crazy to me, but I'm glad that I could be able to talk so everybody can kind of catch that vibe. Because I know a lot of people probably don't really know that much about me because I really don't talk about it like that. So I think this will be good, especially for, fans and then later years for people to kind of pull from. So I'm glad that I got to, do this with you, and it was such a, chill moment. Yeah,
it was. I tried to give it that like approach. Like I said, I tried my best to freestyle everything, and like I said, this is something I always wanted to do. Mm-hmm. I have stage fright. I feel it. I have stage fright as well. I get nervous as hell. Like I could talk about it while it's before it's happening, but as soon as the moment happens and I'm there, it's like fuck. Like what am I gonna ask? What I'm gonna say? And then like you made the shit comfortable right away. So I'm like, okay, I feel like I can keep doing this. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So thank you for that too.
No problem.
Yeah, so you already dropped your announcements for the albums coming up. So projects, anything else?
Follow me on Instagram at ZHANÉ Music. Is ZHANÉ Music. My Twitter is the same. It just has 2 underscores at the end. I'm also on TikTok. That one is also ZHANÉ Music. That one has 3 C's at the end of music. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Stay on the lookout for all of the stuff I got coming up. I'll be posting snippets here and there, different songs, different beats. I have a docu-series in the works that's going with Clarity. Sure. Because I don't want it to just be,
hey, I'm just dropping the album.
Exactly.
Right.
So okay. I want this serious, like, buckle down time. So the docu-series is going to touch on pretty much everything that we talked about, just a little bit more in depth. The city, Trey, my grandma, little things here and there. So that's going to be big as well. So follow me on everything. Y'all stay tuned for the projects, singles, docu-series. And yeah, I hope everybody like it.
All right. It was nice having you.
Nice doing this interview.
Thank you for letting me come over and get this first time experience in.
Most definitely.
Yeah. Y'all tune in for the next few episodes or whatever, however long I choose to do this. And definitely go follow Angie on everywhere.
Thank you.
Yeah, y'all have I gotta work on that. I gotta work on the editing.